right, welcome to a special episode of The Diplomats. I'm here with Drug Tito or Tada Mara. He and I played in the Virtual Diplomacy League together, game 27, and we topped the board. Our video cast here, our YouTube cast, is brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com, where you can get all the latest updates in the world of diplomacy. Just go, it's free to sign up, diplomacybriefing.com. And so, Tara, how do you pronounce your real name? Mine's easy.
Kruno.
It's Ed.
Ed is very easy. Kruno Tsaric. Yeah, it's a bit of a hard R for English speakers, but yeah. The root of the word is.
Where do you come to us from?
I'm from Croatia.
The root of the word is what?
The root of the word is same as corona, actually, the crown, in Latin. So yeah, not the best time to say Kruno, but whatever. Yeah, I'm from Croatia, from Zagreb, and here I am right now talking to you, which is very nice.
Well, how long have you? I found you to be an excellent tactician and diplomacy player. But how long have you been playing diplomacy? Why did you get into it?
I have played diplomacy first time in 2015. I made an account on Web Diplomacy. Why? Because I always liked strategy games, like, I don't know, Age of Empires, stuff like that. But in all those games, you can never do the Machiavellian stuff. The human factor is missing. Once I heard about diplomacy, I was astonished that I haven't heard about it before. And in Croatia, there is a strong culture of chess playing. I don't know why no one knows about diplomacy. So I started myself online, played a couple of games. Obviously, I was not the best player in the world. I mean, I did not even understand what stalemate lines were, and then I stopped playing for a couple of years because no one was talking to me about the game. It's not very interesting when you're just thinking about it yourself. And in 2019, I managed to convince my friend who plays a lot of chess with me to start playing diplomacy. Then when I had someone to bounce my ideas off, then I started to become a better player. So now I'm a decent player, I think. Hopefully I will improve. There's a lot of things to improve upon, and I'll have good games, I'll have terrible games, but that's just how it goes. 7 players on the board, it's always unpredictable, although the patterns are sometimes recognizable. So
it's interesting you say that about chess playing, because online, and I predominantly play through Nexus and in the backstabber format. Online, there are an enormous number, I think, of Russian players.
That's interesting. My experience is I play mostly with Americans, Australians, or British players. But yeah, I've seen a lot of European players in the last couple of months. So I don't know. I don't think I've played with a Russian before, or even if I did, I didn't know. Obviously, if you're playing an anonymous game, you're not going to go around asking people where they come from, But
right.
All online players have great control of English language, especially when it's written down. So it's hard to see who is not a native English speaker. Sometimes actually native English speakers do make more mistakes when writing than others. So
what do you mean? They give you too much?
No, I mean, just when you're talking your own, when you're speaking your own language, sometimes you forget about the rules. You forget about the not pronunciation, the way you write down things. Sometimes native English speakers, they just write down in a colloquial language. I don't know if that's the term in English. Colloquial.
Yeah. Well, colloquial is it, and that's when did you decide to jump into the virtual diplomacy world? For me, it was in May at DixieCon, but I had played online primarily, but I found the coronavirus
Mm.
coronavirus to be helpful to me to allow me to get to play.
Mm. Well, I saw the DBN, yeah, the Diplomacy Broadcast Network on YouTube. So I followed that a bit. Actually, your podcast was the second thing I saw online. The first thing was videos from Triumvir some number, and those were very, very fun, but very short and very succinct. And then I saw your podcast, and then I saw DBN making the live coverage of the VDL. And I was hoping to play there, but I did not know where to find you guys, how to get in there, and I started playing in a tournament that I found on Reddit, Wit and Skill it was called. There I met the Voldemort of diplomacy, one and only Eric Grinnell. And I had, at first we were at odds, obviously.
The bad boy of the bad boy.
Yeah, the bad
the
boy,
bad boy
but
of diplomacy.
bad boy and
I
an
like
awesome
him,
player,
but I
I'd
know
say.
he's got.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, at first we were at odds, fighting a bit. Then he heard I'm from Croatia. We started to talk a little bit more. And actually, he was the one who gave me the link for the Discord channel. And I'm saddened that he is not allowed anymore to play in the VDL. Hopefully, that will change, because a player of his caliber and his strength should definitely, be a part of the group. Obviously, I don't know what the problem
so for
was,
the
but
North American, for the North American Diplomacy Federation, despite Eric's sins, you see he's had a blessing. He brought us Kruno, and so
he brought you
so
Corona, right?
he is he's trying to make him. All right, let's get into the game a little bit. We won't talk about your first game, but you played 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Have you played any? Was this your second game ever, or
this was my second game ever that was like virtual face-to-face, or to be more precise, virtual voice-to-voice. My first game was a completely like PTSD experience, and that probably influenced me a lot in the second game. I came with a very low self-esteem about my game. I was very worried about how it's going to look. So I think that influenced the final outcome a bit. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear that. Since we shared the top, and I think you could have gotten more, a lot more off of me.
Well, tactically maybe, and technically speaking, I did make some little mistakes in the end, but I think your diplomacy was also a big factor in it. You're extremely likable and easygoing. And I really needed that, for my second game. I just wanted to have a nice, solid game, a good experience, to see how I'm going to communicate with people in English, etc. And it was great for me. Later, in retrospect, I watched myself, my moves, and I was like, come on, you have to go for it. But in the moment, I think I made the right call, If I stabbed or tried to stab, maybe now I'd be talking like I was sorry about that for another reason. So
well,
it is how it is.
It is how it is. And so, just briefly before we talk about the tactics, and you don't have to talk about your first game, but just in general, did you find it? My first game, virtually, I found it quite difficult to manage the time, the talking. You have a different language. Was that a factor at all? And just managing all the various things that were going on all at once without 24 or 48 hours to think about your moves.
Yeah, I think it's a huge factor. I think the 15 minutes voice to voice is practically a different game to a correspondence game. First of all, you have to know how to deal with the technical Discord stuff, entering rooms, blah 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 blah. You have to keep an eye on the time limit. You have to think about tactics, about strategy, talking to people. You cannot talk to someone too much. You cannot talk to someone too little. Yeah, a very overwhelming experience for game one. Game two, because of you, was much easier for me, and I had a lot of fun. But also there, I made some diplomatical mistakes. I didn't talk enough with Russia when I had to. I did not talk enough to Turkey when I had to, although he had some ideas I was not sure about. So yeah, that's something that it really takes, I think, time and experience to get a grip on.
I just didn't have a lot of time to talk to Italy when I needed to on occasion. But a lot of that, as we'll see later on, was because I was trying to make sure you and I had managed our relationship. And I was afraid of, I know you were talking to Italy a lot, so I was worried about going in the room. I think seeing where people are at any given moment is challenging, but texting while people are in rooms is very helpful.
Yeah, that's a nice concept. I was aware that people are doing that because I was receiving some messages from Turkey, I think in particular, from George. But it's not easy to juggle that, especially when you're starting out. And I was always worried that someone will hear me typing.
I can hear you typing. I have a quiet keyboard, so I don't think people can hear me typing, but I'm very alert to when others are typing now. That's something that on these virtual games that I'm thinking, who are they typing to? Paranoia is a dangerous drug in diplomacy, but not as dangerous as hope, which is the worst drug in diplomacy. All right, we should get to the game. You're Germany and France. I was Germany, you were France. I believe we spoke together first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we spoke first, and I was very happy to see you in Germany because from your podcasts, I knew that you were a player that you need to see someone give you a strategical plan, not like I'm going to dictate your moves or something, but I have to give you something you can latch onto.
I'll put you in the tactical driver's seat.
That's
the way and I like to manage the relationships.
Yeah, I thought I knew that about you, and it turned out to be correct. And also, I thought you were a player that will not stab in the first move or lie in the first conversation. So when we were talking about Burgundy, I was 99% sure that you will actually go to Ruhr. And usually I would play to Burgundy. I asked you about bouncing there because I think that's the best option for France if you are not 100% sure that you have a friendly Germany. But with you, I knew, okay, I can do this. I can actually play an alliance here. And you proved me correct, obviously.
So I was happy talking to you because I knew your name as a follower of the podcast. So I thought, okay, well, you may know a little bit about my game, and I don't have to sound dishonest when I talk to players for the first time about how I like to be an alliance player and build. I also like England very much. England's first conversation with me, he's doing well in the league, was I want to share a board top with you. And I wanted to hear that from England. My thought process here was I probably was going to go with you because I knew what England's score was in the league. And I would have preferred him not to get a great score. But on the other hand, I wanted to keep my options open. So I was glad when I said I didn't want to move to Holland, and you're like, fine. And so you open up. But I'm curious, you did not want to move to the Mid-Atlantic. You wanted to press the attack against England.
Well, I fucked up. I made a mistake when I was talking to England. Yeah, I made a mistake when I was talking to England because I talked to him right after I talked to you. I think it was necessary for me to speak with England, otherwise he will know that I'm trying to go after him.
Right.
But I actually just telegraphed it anyway. I was like, what about the English channel? I see a lot of games where you go to English channel, blah, blah, blah. I tried to find some argument about making it DMZ, and in hindsight, I did not do it correctly. And this is one of the differences between correspondence. I could just sit down, have a think about it. How am I going to present this? And in the moment, I was very flustered about it. It was obvious I'm going to the English channel. I knew that we were going to bounce there, but I accepted it. And we got good news from Russia about the Northern opening. So I was like, okay, one tempo, it's not a terrible, terrible loss.
Yeah, he had actually asked me, just so you know, and he goes, I think this guy's moving to the channel. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You might need to protect it, but he didn't tell me anything. And so I was more than happy not to have you get super strong, super quick. So I didn't mind the bounce as Germany.
Yeah, of course.
And
of course.
it commits you to fighting England, maybe, unless you can turn it around, and it keeps my options open. But then I saw Russia move north. I'm like, okay, you're right. We have the same sort of thought process, and we won't look at the East too much since neither of us were there. It comes into play.
No, but let me say just about the East in 1901. I think it's very important for us to have that DMZ in Galicia. That was the reason when Richard contacted me after we spoke about the Northern opening, about the Sea Lion. 1 minute before the moves, he contacted me and said, I have a DMZ in Galicia, so I'm free to move north. So that was very important for us in the East. And obviously it was very important for the Austro-Italian combination, because that Vienna-Budapest move was crucially in the fall. Budapest was able to support Croatia to Serbia. I mean, Trieste. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, Mr. Kalhamer wasn't thinking of the Croatians at the time, apparently. Yeah, because this is obviously a strong key Lepanto going on, including the move into the Ionian from Austria.
Yeah, that's a great
on
variation.
Our end. Yeah,
I like it. I mean, Turkey can thwart all that with going to Greece, of course, but it didn't happen here, and it's not something that Turkey would expect. So very nice opening.
It was a good opening. On our end of the map, I'm never one to argue over Belgium. I prefer the relationship over Belgium, but you were going to only get, one build if I didn't, make sure you were in Belgium.
Yeah.
And there was no way England couldn't do anything other than bounce in Norway. So this is bad news for England.
Yeah, I like the St. Petersburg, Norway move, because that was sorry, my cat is going crazy. That was the big question for Richard. Will he move to Finland and guarantee Norway next year, or will he do this? And we pressured him a lot to do this, and I'm happy he did. And it's good for Russia. I mean, it's not bad. Okay, you cannot build a fleet there, but you'll get it next year, unless Germany does what you did very soon.
Correct. So Russia builds 2 armies, you build a fleet, and army. I build the fleet. I think we talked about the builds, but they all seem pretty logical to me.
Yeah, pretty straightforward here.
All right, so you make in spring 1902 the move around to North Atlantic, which is,
yeah, it's guaranteed to succeed. I think England started to play a bit, how do you say, this was a bit inferior, I don't know what he supported, something to Picardy, Belgium, I guess. I don't know, why would I bounce myself in Picardy? I think English Channel to Mid-Atlantic here just takes another tempo of me, and maybe even North Sea to Denmark, something like that. But okay, maybe he was worried about English Channel. I think North Atlantic is more important than English Channel. maybe that's sacrilegious, but I have more play from North Atlantic than from English Channel. I think this was very obvious. I will go this way. I will play this way. So yeah, North Sea support English Channel. Ah, I think he could have defended better a bit. And I think Russia had to be a bit worried about your move to Skagerrak. You could have moved to Helgoland, so.
Could have moved to Helgoland.
Yeah.
I like to have my options open, right? And I like Richard, but I wanted to make sure my my options were there against Russia. I think the move to Tyrolia, which they talked about on DBN,
Yeah,
it wasn't so much like genius or anything like that. A, you suggested it, and
yeah.
B, the reason why you suggested it is you wanted to de-escalate the army situation on the border between France and Germany.
Exactly. That's the French idea. I mean, I want you out of Burgundy. I mean, you're not in Burgundy, but I want you to bid farewell to the idea of it. And yeah, I want you to get into Tyrolia because you as Germany, maybe naturally your friends are Austria and Italy. I want you in Tyrolia so you can pester them, maybe have some issues with them. So yeah.
I didn't mind it because we had this very strong AI, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I mean, especially with the follow up from Ruhr to Munich, I didn't think, I thought it gave me a lot of options, and so I was happy with that move, and it induced a conversation between myself and Karthik as Austria. And the background here is Karthik and I get along personally very well.
No. Stop just for a second. That
Yeah.
there was a point in the game, I don't know when it was, but I asked you what is your relationship with Austria, and you said we never met eye to eye. We had a lot of games and it never worked out. I actually believed that for like 50 seconds or something like that. Then I knew, come on.
No, it's true. You can ask him and he can comment. We played we went to the same university at different times, Longhorns, University of Texas.
Yeah, I picked up on that in public chat. He was always talking he was always
talking about the football scores. Yeah, and me too.
I didn't know anything about the UCLA or whatever, the American college.
Yeah, but we played, I think, 5 times and have never gotten, we've always been against each other. At no point have we been friendly, and it's been both ways. Sometimes he did it to me, and sometimes I did it to him. And then he talked to me, and I just said, "I'm not doing anything to you." I calmed him down a little bit. Now, Larry in Italy, I find very difficult to play with because he's stubborn. No offense, Larry, and there's an English barrier, and he talks slow, and I talk fast. Mm-hmm. These are difficult things for me.
He has a very strong accent, and it's difficult. It's sometimes difficult to understand what he's saying, and that can be a good thing for him. When your English is not perfect, and maybe later you can spin it like it was a misunderstanding, blah blah blah. I thought he was a strong player in 1901. I thought he was a very strong player. He knew exactly what he wants from France. I did not like him asking me that I should not build in Marseille. I think a lot of times I want to build 2 fleets immediately, but okay, I can live with that. One of his ideas was no moves into Tyrrhenian Sea and no builds in Marseille. So in this turn, he moved to Tyrrhenian Sea. So I was like, okay, Marseille is coming when I wanted to come, But even when Marseille came, other reasons were forcing me to do it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And of course, I was happy with the move here by Italy. Mm-hmm. As we get into the fall, I think this is my first disappointment that you may have had with me.
Oh yeah. I see. I told you about the bounce in Brest. I think it's pretty obvious France will cover it, and maybe that's a mistake to actually play that way. but you're the only one I said anything to about this move. So when I saw this, I immediately started to pressure you. And one,
Right, but it's true
yeah,
though. I did not tell him. I would tell you if I told him. I did not.
it doesn't
I
it
think
doesn't
yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter. What's important for me is to put a bit of pressure on you, diplomatic pressure. So you see that, okay, we are friendly, but this guy does not like his moves not working, so I can be a problem for you. That's also important, like not being all cuddly all the time. But the main reason I actually was a bit annoyed by this is this North Sea disband. They did not mention it in the analysis. I don't know why. I mean, this is you could have lost Denmark here. This was not, I think this was not the best step of Russia. Maybe if you had Russia support you from Denmark to North Sea and then you take Sweden from Skagerrak, okay, then you are safe. But this, I think you forgot about the retreat phase or something. North Sea could have easily.
I did forget about it. I told you that,
Yeah.
but I also, as I was sitting there waiting for it to go through, I thought, well, he might disband to rebuild an army.
Yeah, which
So
I
I
think
wasn't.
I don't know. I can understand maybe diplomatically England wants you to be his friend. He does not have friends in France and Russia, but if he gets into Denmark now, he gets a build, he can build that army to defend himself. And what about Kiel next year? You're in Silesia, you're in Bohemia, you do not
It's a
have a
big
build.
problem.
Yeah.
Big problem.
And maybe he can now talk to France. He can say, look, Germany is now weak. You had your fun. Maybe you can now stop pressuring me, blah, blah, blah.
This should
Obviously,
tell you that I didn't leak the move because
yeah.
I thought English Channel was going to, I didn't think the move to North Sea would be successful.
Yeah,
right?
you expected support, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I feel lucky that he didn't move into Denmark. That would have been it for my game.
I think
yeah.
your game would suffer a lot because of that, honestly. But I think you would still have my friendship. That's something that I decided very early, and I was not flexible enough later in the game. That's a problem that I had in this game. I was really set on playing the alliance to the end, which is sometimes good. Sometimes you can find arguments that say that's a very nice thing to do, and sometimes you can say that's not the way diplomacy should be played. But never mind. And I think you could have gained Denmark back, and we would kill England. But I would be much faster than you if he took Denmark, and he would
I
have
think
more
you're right. In
chances.
the analysis, he was probably thinking, other than the move to the North Sea, I haven't made a lot of overt moves against him. He needs a friend. I just attacked Russia. So I think that's what happened. Now I built a fleet because I saw we had talked about it beforehand, and you're like, no fleet build, right? No fleet build. And I go, yeah, no fleet build. But then when I saw you were in Brest, I'm like, I think we're going to need a fleet. And so you can't negotiate during the build move. So that's why I built the fleet. But
Yeah.
again, I think you talked to me about that, putting a little more pressure on me.
Yeah, well, this is the moment where I'm not sure about what's happening because of the North Sea disband and the way he played with English Channel. So now I was a bit nervous about you, but I just didn't see why you would stab me here. What do you gain? Yeah, how are you going to do it? So yeah, as soon as the next move comes in, I'm like sure that everything is fine.
Yeah, everything was fine here. This was the Marseille build, Marseille fleet build, and I immediately contacted Lay and said, Brest is covered, I have to build in Marseille. And he was like, yeah, of course, you cannot abandon the attack on England. And at this point when he was talking, I did not understand very much what he was saying because of his accent. This is why sometimes miscommunication can be good for Italy. But in the end, I understood what he wanted to say. About Galicia, I think this is very interesting. I know it's easy to say, to be a general after the battle, but Ukraine should really support Galicia to Warsaw here. I think
yeah, you wouldn't be able to take Warsaw if he defended better.
Right. Yeah, that left it wide open for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
And in the
so
south, we have Turkey becoming friends with Austria, which is very interesting and very nice for us, I think.
this was a big surprise to me
Yeah.
uh, because I never could quite figure out what was happening down there for sure. And Karthik, as Austria, kept telling me, "No, we're not friends." Uh, and I think
Hmm.
he may. I don't know what was happening between Austria and Italy, but I was happy to see Italy's moves. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I thought I was pretty good with Karthik at this point.
Yeah, I think you had a solid relationship this game. Germany and
Yeah,
Austria, you could have stepped him at one point. I think you
yeah,
correctly decided not to.
correct.
And now all of
So
a sudden,
yeah,
Turkey is a friend with Italy. Yeah, very chaotic in the south.
very chaotic. Yeah, it was going back and forth, and this is where I wasn't too worried about the army in Tyrolia, but worried enough as to what I knew I was going to get a build there.
Yeah, my moves here were very conservative, and I knew that Piedmont is not going to Marseille. I knew that English Channel is not going to Brest, but I said to myself, just play the moves and have 10 minutes to relax. You do not have to worry about it. So very conservative. I could have done better maybe, but it is what it is. And the convoy
We
to
got
London.
lucky with we got lucky with
Yeah,
London. That was
yeah,
my idea.
that was your idea, exactly. And we debated on it and decided to go for it. Uh, I'm just I'm just sorry that he didn't bounce in Wales, so my unwanted support would be more fun. This was very strange. Liverpool supports London to Wales, and he supported you to Belgium. So yeah, maybe he expected a shift in the alliance structure here.
Yeah, no, I didn't talk to him on this either. So, but I
Oh,
think he
very
thought
strange
he
then.
could try and be of use to me somehow.
Yeah.
I do think that was his play. I think he was having. He knew it wasn't going to work out between you and him, but was trying to lobby me, uh, which is understandable. But at this point, I just want England dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's better for us if we eliminate someone in the West before the East is resolved. Definitely.
Okay, so here we go. Things are chugging along pretty well for us, but I think this begins. It started in '02 in the fall when we talked about London. Uh, Me having to constantly sort of reassure you in the beginning that I, which everyone says, but it's hard to believe that I told you I wanted to even up the centers. That I'm not gonna.
Mhm.
I I wanted to play with you. I wanted to share a board top. That was my goal. I knew roughly what that would do for my score, and so I thought that would be just fine for me. But I'm sure it was difficult believing that.
Well, actually, it was not so difficult to believe it. It was more difficult to accept the fact that I'll have to share the board top. You know, I tried. I tried to make you give me one center more, but with your own free will. I did not want to take it. So that was. I believed you wanted to share the board top. I don't even know anything about the scoring system in the league. Maybe I should read up on it, but I
If you
see a
board
lot of
top, you would have scored a lot more.
yeah, obviously, yeah. But I see a lot of discussions about it in VDL. I don't read everything because everyone has their own opinion, and diplomacy is very, very difficult to to find the right scoring system. One scoring system encourages strong alliance play. Two strong alliance play. One scoring system encourages dotting people. I don't know. I really didn't want to think about it, and
I wasn't worried.
yeah.
I mean, in my head, maybe I'm giving away too much, but I'm used to the conversations at the end. I'm used to at this point people wanting to snag a center off of me or something like that. So I'm working my diplomacy early on that point.
Mhm.
the whole time, and you have to really feel no sense of guilt or shame to dot me at the end. And most people won't do it. It's happened a couple of times to me, but in a league, my strategy is this: it's a league game, so you play with the same players over and over again. I want to develop my reputation in the league as a reliable alliance player that they don't have to worry about at the end. Who's happy to have a good score. Everyone advances in the league with a high average, and at the end, hopefully, you're in the mix for the top. So
Yeah,
that was my strategy.
yeah, and you also told me that it's good for me to take the strategy to prove I can be a reliable alliance player, and I was like, yeah, that's good for me. I come from Croatia. It's my second game. I come in peace, guys. We can play together. We can have fun. It's not about dotting players and
Right.
just for
Well,
the
I think
sake
it's
of
a
it.
smart. I think it's a
Yeah,
smart move for you because, and I realize this from '01. Even if you board top, you're not going to be able to get to the final board because you started too late this year in the
yeah.
league.
Yeah,
So
I don't even know
yeah,
who is on the top. Oh, okay, maybe that's a lie. I know a couple of people who are at the top,
right.
but I don't know how many games are played. How many? I don't know nothing about it.
They've got
So
the ones at the top have played 5 or 6. This was only my third game. I haven't played many in the league, and in fact, I came in at the last minute. If you remember, I just emailed
yeah,
the guy and said, "Hey, if you want an extra player, I'm here," but I didn't know if I'd be available that day.
yeah, that was
So,
also nice for me to see. When I saw Go Horns go, I was like, "Fuck yeah, man!"
all right, all right. So at this point, it's not so difficult in the game. We continue to pressure uh, England,
Yeah, it's
and
important just to
yeah,
note that here you could have easily went to Livonia and finished Richard off, but I lobbied hard for him, and you also said that you want to create now a balance of power situation. So I like the way you were thinking here. If you went for Moscow, for Moskva, and if you went
you would have turned
all
on me.
yeah, I would have to. I'm France, he is Russia. What are my options? I cannot just sit by idly and watch you take 3 or 4 centers where I do nothing. So this is very,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I think this is an intelligent play from you, and I
I'm looking
appreciate
at
it very
all
well.
your fleets. I have to keep you on side as my ally. And my thought was, I can get those dots later if I need to, or if I have to press. And Richard, I think you were probably able to. We had issues, but I think you were able to keep Richard a little bit on side with me.
Yeah, I don't think Richard is going to be very happy with me after this game. I'm still waiting for a game in which I can, how do you say, give back to him what I have taken away from him when we were playing in the Wit and Skill tournament. We were playing in AT, and I stabbed him as Austria. It went very well for me, but he's just, he's a pleasurable guy to work with. Unfortunately for him, he is also a very good character to stab. He is not a guy that's going to scream, shout, swear, threaten you. So yeah, so it's not difficult to say, okay, we can stab Richard. Of course, now that I said that, he will probably take revenge on me in another game.
Now, I've
Yeah,
only,
but
I've only played him in Gunboat quite a bit. But I really did enjoy uh, playing with him. But as Germany, I was always remembering what Doug Moore says about playing Germany, which is the further away your units are in other theaters, you're doing well as Germany, right? You don't, and so I didn't mind having a strong presence in the
in the
East, and
East,
I
yeah,
thought it gave me a lot of options. And I still thought you and me were okay, but we had to manage that relationship, which is why I'm saying take Liverpool, take Edinburgh. I didn't
mm,
feel the need to get to 9. Uh, right off the bat.
Yeah, giving me Edinburgh is an interesting decision from you. I think in the end it's correct because your goal is to top the board without much problems. But it was very interesting. You just said, "Come on, take Edinburgh," and you know.
Right. Well, I knew you were concerned, maybe not so concerned now hearing you, but you made it seem like you were very concerned about the dot difference.
Yeah.
And me, I needed to get your fleets down, and
Yeah.
convince you in any way that like that's going to show me that you're committed. And I think you told me you were going to move 2 down now. Yeah, and that you're going to keep North Atlantic.
Yeah. Something happened in the east that made me sure that something happened in the east that made me think that Tunis is guaranteed for me and I should move on Italy here. I'm not sure if this is the best idea in the next year. I will come to that. We'll come to that. But I think Tunis was practically guaranteed for me, so I decided to go that route. And yeah, you were very, very, very concerned about my fleets. You were asking me a lot about them. And without the fleets in the north, going to Norwegian Sea and North Sea, I don't see if I can solo anyway. So I just accepted the fact that we're going to go with the FG, and it was not a hard decision to make. So
Yeah, I mean, for me right now is my most delicate bit of diplomacy because we're talking to Russia, the 3 of us, the whole time. He wants me to de-escalate in a serious way, but also I sort of want to keep Austria propped up,
yeah,
and together a bit. And I think forever he wanted me to move to Denmark, and you kept saying it's not a good idea for me, which was really helpful to me. You gave me cover as to why I didn't move that fleet for many. It seemed like many years.
yeah. In diplomacy, sometimes it seems like many years, many moves, and then you go back and you see it was just
It's
2
1 year.
moves. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, Turkey here made a mistake. He lost the tempo with his
Big
misorder.
time.
Yeah,
Big
big
time with
time.
the misorder.
That's important. And I don't know what Italy was doing with Ionian Sea. I'm not sure maybe he trusted me that I won't go to West Med or something, but I think this is the time to shift your fleets in a more defensive fashion.
I think
Russia,
he's. I
yeah.
also think sometimes when you see the misorders from Italy, there's another one coming up.
Mhm.
Uh, it's because he wasn't so familiar with the backstabber interface.
Yeah, that can be
That's what I
also a
thought.
factor. Yeah, that could be a factor. Yeah,
What
and
do you think he
Russia,
should have done? You think he should have moved to Tunis?
Yeah, he could have moved to Iranian Sea and Adriatic to Ionian, but diplomatically, maybe he wanted to have a good relationship with France, and he could have moved just to Tunis and Ionian. If he's not attacking, if he's not attacking Austria, then I don't know. I don't know why would he not play Adriatic to Ionian? You know?
Well, it's very fortunate
Yeah.
for us that this misorder from Turkey happened, right? I mean, because it puts Italy in a very difficult bind, I think, where his misorder, I mean, him not putting his fleets in a good position and Turkey messing up, I think was overall helpful.
Yeah. This gives me a clear shot at Tunis, and I'm just rolling here. And Turkey does not have 2 fleets on the Ionian, so he cannot be faster than me in any case. So technically speaking, I played what David Hood said. I think a methodical and solid game, and it's like Karpov in chess. Just go with the straightforward ideas, and most of the time they will work. If you lose a couple of tempo, it's not a big problem, especially as France. I think France has that luxury of being predictable and still getting a good result.
Right. And here in 05, of course, I saw all the moves south, which at one level makes you feel happy as Germany, but at another level,
Yeah, I lost you
oh,
here.
there's a
Can you
lot
repeat?
of Italian
Yeah, yeah.
dots, and he's got a lot of. Oh, yeah, I was happy to see you move south, but also a little worried that there were a lot of clear dots for you to move south, where I had slowed
Mhm.
tempo because you wanted me to stay with Russia, and I think here is where I was trying to urge you, let me attack Russia, and you're like, no, let's not do it yet. Let's not do it yet. And we have kind of another round of discussions about it, but uh, this is
Yeah.
looking very good for us at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to get you actually to attack Austria at one point, but that was never going to work. I always thought if you attack Austria, I don't know what would have happened.
I think I would have given
Maybe,
you the solo.
I don't know. Solo, that's one thing I also want to say. George, when I was at 8 centers, told me, go north, you can solo. But I don't know how it is in face to face, but when I see a country at 8 centers, I do not think about 18. I just don't see it happening. Once I stab you and I'm at what, 8 centers, everyone is against me, just like this. How can I defend this? No way.
Not just that, but the other thing that I think people don't either use to their advantage or don't realize is it's a timed game. And so if you stab me, at that point, I'm waiting 15 minutes for every move,
Mm.
which I've done before. I'm going to let the clock run out to maximize my centers. It's very difficult to solo in a league game when you know it ends at a certain time, because I just sit there, or a player will sit there, let the clock run out, and so you won't get the large benefit of a stab.
Yeah. But on the other hand, that time ticking out would guarantee me top board, I mean,
Yes,
solo is usually an anomaly. I would have to have very, very good diplomacy with Russia and with Turkey if I went for you. I think I could have pulled it off, not the solo, but the board top. I think it was
definitely the
actually,
board top.
yeah. But yeah,
To
it's,
me, the only solos that happen are diplomatic failures,
yeah, or diplomatic
and
success, whatever you want to.
that's true. But I mean, defending against a solo is a diplomatic failure. I'm
Mhm.
usually that's my strongest part of my game. I can typically rally everybody to the greater good of stopping the solo, and I'm able to, a lot of times, to get people to put their differences aside uh,
Yeah.
to
You know
stop.
what? I
But
would
in this
expect that.
situation, you're right.
I would expect that from you. You're that kind of personality. I think for a guy like you, it's not even a problem to stab Russia twice and still have his good faith. Even if he's not Richard, even if he's someone that gets pissed off immediately, a guy like you can pull it off. Some other type of people, difficult. I don't know if I would have that ability to do it. I just
Right.
want to say about this spring of 1905, this North Atlantic to Mid Atlantic move. I think this was the move that shows U.S. Germany, okay, this guy, he's my ally for the long run.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I thought.
And it was a move that I was thinking maybe I should
I,
not go to Mao, maybe I should maybe go to Clyde or Norwegian and sell it like, Edinburgh is not sure, maybe maybe we can go on Russia. But I don't know if that would work. Maybe that would just create too much tension with us, and
it would have created too much tension. I
yeah,
guarantee you, uh, I would have, I would have changed direction. That's why I pushed you, if you remember, I think really hard on that move,
yeah, to go south, yeah.
really hard, because you said I'm just going to keep it there. And I'm like, no, not if
uh,
I'm giving you Edinburgh, not if I'm doing all this stuff. You're not doing that. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but I
This was the moment where maybe I could have maybe I could have been a bit more harsher about that, because Edinburgh, yeah, you're giving it to me, sure, but you're the one taking it now, so maybe I could have tried something diplomatically, but
Yeah.
In retrospect,
Why did
this was
why
not.
did oh because you were worried about Liverpool.
Yeah. Clyde to Albania, it's a meme, you know. I don't like memes. I don't enjoy that. But okay, I understand why people do. I thought Clyde to
I,
Liverpool is a solid try. Why not? I mean,
so
he
uh,
goes to Clyde now, which is fine, I guess.
well,
And
I may have hinted at him that that would be a good idea
mm,
since I knew you were holding,
yeah,
and it would put you in the bind. That I will tell you that I did do to you.
that's fine. I
Uh,
think that's fine, and that's something that I wouldn't worry
but I knew
about.
you were getting Tunis, so I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah, it was technically forced. Once we bounced in Tyrrhenian, it's forced, and I think choosing Tyrrhenian is crucial. If I go to Tunis, then he has some other options. Blah blah blah. This is the first international convoy, and yeah, sometimes I just don't get what the end game idea here was. Obviously, he wants Turkey to help him defend, but this just reminds me of a lot of games on web diplomacy where Italy invites Turkey to Tyrrhenia and Italy invites Turkey to Apulia. Italy, when for example AT is formed, a lot of the times you'll see Italy just taking all those enemy armies actually into their own centers. So this is strange for me.
Yeah, well, I know they like the convoys. What's even
Mm.
stranger is how the where Italy ends up at the end of the game, which we'll let it play out for our listeners.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Uh, it- it- Now, I can't say I was very happy with the Marseille to Gascony, Gascony to Paris move.
It's just posing as friends. It's just shuffling pieces, nothing else. I like to shuffle pieces as friends. It keeps other players on toes, and you don't change a lot. This was just to prepare a fleet build in Marseille. I don't think you don't have anything to worry about for a couple of moves.
That's true.
Yeah.
Here's the big conversation occurred, and I think they were wondering about this on DBN. I really wanted to right here move against Russia. I think we were texting about it. We're in the room together the whole time. And I told Richard, look, if you move, or I think he said, I said, what is it going to take? And what is it going to take for you to go against Turkey? And he's like, you have to move, you know,
Warsaw out.
yeah, you have to move Warsaw out to Silesia, which, as I look back at it, I should have maybe moved to Moscow. I don't know. I
You
didn't
you
do it
could
at this
have
point.
you could have gone to Moscow, but then you have a French problem, you know. Because I have an obligation to my Russian counterpart to take good care of him. I did not take the best care of him, but it was important for me that you don't go 100 miles per hour. You know, you could have gone to Moscow. Maybe I could have done nothing about it. Actually, could have also convoyed to Livonia, etc. But I don't know diplomatically how you handle that later.
Yeah. Uh,
I think our idea here was get Moscow to Sevastopol and then convoy it to Ankara. But he went for Turkey immediately. So yeah, that was fine.
that was fine, but in my head, I'm already thinking he's getting a build.
Yeah. But you have to explain this convoy to Denmark. I think that's the question here. What was your thinking there?
I wanted permission to go against Russia. And if that meant that I had to give up that dot because you didn't have a fleet, that was fine. But the thinking was long term, I would get that into Russia. And if I was getting Russian dots, but we were able to backfill with my dots if there was an unevenness, that's why I wanted to do it. my thought here was I would convoy to Denmark and the next year convoy
to Livonia or
again.
something. Yeah.
I can't remember if I did that, but that was the thinking. I'm sure it was unusual for you to hear that because obviously I'm, it's odd. I mean, I'm giving you those dots basically.
Yeah. It's odd, but it's understandable. Maybe we could have, you could have went on Russia on your own, but then we would argue a lot. Then stuff like Burgundy Rue might have happened. Because I can be happy with only Tunis out of Italy, I get Tunis as friends. I'm happy with that. So if I saw that you were
the
going,
other reason is this.
yeah.
Remember, Richard was very concerned about my fleet, and he wanted me to move to Berlin.
Yeah. Baltic
and
fleet,
so I could sell the convoy to Denmark as well. Now I can support Sweden.
Yeah.
From Denmark, and I can move that fleet to Berlin. And so I think he was on board when he saw those two moves.
Yeah, and he was very worried about that Baltic fleet even before. And then I told him that if you move Baltic to Denmark or Kiel, then I have a problem with that fleet. So
that's why, yeah. All right, and so I do put the convoy in action, and then you get fully committed down below.
Yeah,
and we agree on Edinburgh.
Yeah, that was your show of goodwill, and it's because of these moves that I didn't really entertain the thought of stabbing you that much. It would be a personal decision. That's a huge difference between correspondence and voice-to-voice games. The emotional factor is very strong, and you have a bad day, a good day, you were at work, you were not at work, whatever, it all affects you. You have those couple of hours in which you have to make those difficult decisions. And I think making that emotional decision is much more difficult than a tactical one. And when you're playing correspondence, it's different. You can detach yourself from it. You can, if you're tired of diplomacy, if you're burnt out, you can just put your phone down, turn off your computer for a couple of hours. Right. Very, very different game, a very, very different beast. So
it is.
Yeah. I think that's something that also comes with experience. This is my second game, and it would be just too much for me to go that route. And at that moment, I just couldn't do it. I didn't even contemplate it a lot, precisely because of the way that we've played together. No lies, maybe some small lies, but yeah, irrelevant. Giving me Edinburgh, stuff like that. Going for Tyrolia, for example, not kicking Russia in the balls immediately, and stuff like that. I think that the relationship was very good, and I was very happy to maintain that.
Right. And then I was happy. I think there was a comment about Norway on DBN. I never wanted to dislodge Norway. Okay. I've been in that situation where that's the last Russian piece sometimes. And that's difficult. So I was happy to move in purely through the East. And I help Austria here when he needs it, which he was so thankful for. So I knew I was probably pretty good on my southern border, and it was gonna open up big opportunities for you and for me.
Yeah, I mean, your position here is just awesome. You can kill Russia in the center of the board, and in my opinion, that's the weakest part of Russia's position, that center. Ukraine and Livonia. If Austria gets to Ukraine, you're dead. I mean, I don't have pretty experiences with Ukraine as Russia. And yeah, he made that. Well, it's not a mistake, but once he did not defend Warsaw properly, it was just like survival mode for him.
Right.
And yeah, and here in the East, there was again some chaos. Turkey went to Venice, then he went out. I'm still unsure what was the reason to eliminate George in the end. I don't think I was very fair to George because I enabled that, and I could have found an ally there. But as I said, if I decided not to stab you and to try for a top board or a solo, then what's the point in keeping the game going with Turkey or Russia? No, it was
Well,
important for me.
here it's critical because before these moves occurred, I believe you were talking to Turkey or Italy a very
Italy,
long time,
Italy. Yeah.
very long time, and I had already entered all of these moves before we had spoken, right? Because I had many minutes to think about it, and you came in and said, "I have to posture like I'm trying to stab you. Here's what I'm doing." And I think I said, "That's fine because this is what I mean. I've entered, but it was a crucial moment for us. I think."
Yeah, but you were not so happy about it. It was not like you said it's fine.
That's true.
You got very nervous, very flustered. Why? How? But yeah, in the back of my mind, I knew that already you have those moves in. You know, and you're just trying to present it in a bit more of a dramatic fashion, which is fine. It's the same thing I did in a different manner a couple of moves ago. And what if I didn't tell you about this? Would I actually go to Ruhr, an English channel, and then you bounced me and we're done, man? Our relationship is practically over. I just tried to go for a top board. And
Right.
yeah, and now the mighty German that gets Moscow and everything has North Sea, for example. I got no fleets in the north. Now I have a problem with you. So I think the best decision for me was to just call you up and say, Ed, I'm going to Ruhr, I'm going to English channel. It's very easy to bounce that. Let's go.
I don't know if I moved to Tyrolia. Maybe I should have waited for the fall there. I got
For
Austrian help into there.
yeah.
And I was worried that I would get dislodged in the fall, which you didn't do. But if you
Here I
remember, we
think
had some.
here first of all in the spring of 07 I could have done something more active with my southern fleets. I could have forced Ionian. I could have done something more interesting, but I just went for the
And your
safe.
thinking was what?
I don't, it's very difficult. I had to talk to Italy. I talked to him a lot. He was explaining me the scoring system. The problem is I didn't care about the scoring system. So whatever he said, it didn't matter to me a lot. It's not out of disrespect or something. I actually enjoyed hearing what Italy has to say. It was just that my decision was, I don't care about 2 points, 5 points. I don't even know what so I talked to him a lot, and then I had to talk to you and reassure you about this Ruhr English channel. It took a while. So in those 15 minutes, I didn't, and I was very tired at that point already. I thought you could have heard that from my voice. It went from high pitch to very low pitch. Very tired, so I didn't even consider moving more actively in the. I just saw 3 fleets: Rome, Naples, Ionian, and I was like, okay, just hold and make sure you get under Switzerland in Piedmont. And in the fall, George sends me another message to convoy Greece to Venice, and Piedmont support Greece to Venice. I think I think that happened here, or yeah. I think so.
Yeah, correct. But you did something else.
Oh, I mean, obviously, because for that convoy, I need Italy as well. So if 2 people are involved and I'm the third party, it's very easy to fail with that. Italy might call you up immediately and say, look at this Frenchy guy. He wants to stab you for a practically non-center. I mean, Venice is irrelevant for me at this point. So I was like, okay, sorry, George. I mean, I'm just care-bearing here. You can hate me or whatever, but that's just how it is. Okay, we both are here, but it's fine. I think this is just solid alliance play. I don't have any quarrel with that. Right. If this was a tournament play in which you have to board top or whatever, then maybe I should berate myself.
It's a different story.
Yeah. And here,
right. I 100% agree.
Yeah, and here this is interesting in the east. Okay, obviously, of course, Moscow, but southeast. Turkey stabs Austria or tries to stab Austria. This was not very well thought of. I mean, it's something that we discussed before when I was trying to get you to attack Vienna. We were looking at all the combinations that Austria had, and I told you that looking at his move, I think he's a conservative player, defensive player. He will just repeat the support holds, and we can work with that. And Turkey, I don't think he realized that about Kartik and tried to attack him when it's obvious that Austria is just going to, turtle up and hold his position. I think this killed every possible relationship he could have with Austria. And about Italy,
I think it sealed his fate.
Yeah. And about Italy, this is similar to when you said you had already entered the Rural English channel. He called me up and said, "Look, man, can you force yourself into Ionian and Tyrrhenian? These moves were already in place. So this is clear to me. I will play like this, and this is a decision I made as soon as I saw the board." And he was like, "Yeah, can we do this?" And I played a bit stupid, like, "Okay, tell me what to do." And he said he will retreat to Aegean Sea. I was very happy with that because I thought that he will convoy my army to Smyrna. It turned out that he wanted to convoy his own army.
As it turns out, a different way. You would not tell me what you were doing, and I didn't. Was it just to be a surprise? You said that's what it was, but I wasn't.
Yeah, it was just to be a little surprise for you. Nothing more than that. It doesn't have any diplomatic effect on your play. Convoy is guaranteed because Tunis holds Ionian, so no reason other than making a little bit of surprise here. Here I contacted Italy, and he was like, "Do you know what I want you to do?" I was like, "Yeah, man, convoy Gascony to Smyrna." And he was like, "Yeah, convoy Tuscany to Smyrna." So I was okay, like, I'm not going to get the super sexy Gascony Smyrna convoy, but actually I'm going to get Rome because of it. So yeah, why the hell not? And I know George hates me because of it, or to use his words, he loathes me. But I mean, yeah, you gain something, you lose something. I think it was in my benefit to do this now because of Rome. It's in the fall of 08 that I make a real bad play. Yeah. And
well,
about you,
before we get to that, I'm very flustered. If I was flustered before, I'm mad, right? At these moves. I'm like, this guy. I think you told me you were doing this before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to English Channel. I'm going to Picardy. You asked me why. What am I doing there? I'm like, I'm preparing convoy to London, and
like, you didn't know you could do that.
I thought
none of that worked on me. But what were you really thinking?
I was thinking like this is an opportunity to really come in a dominant position. If I do this, I'm dominating the board, and it's spring of 08, and I mean, I won this game practically, not won like a solo, but I topped this game if I do this set of moves. And then when I did it, and it was very logical for me not to make a bad position on purpose, it's like, this is the most logical way to do it, I'm going to do it. And then when I actually made that move, and when I got the chance to really stick it to you, as you say, then I realized, I mean, it's not worth it. Maybe it is, but at that moment it was not worth it for me. I was happy to have I was happy to be to prove to myself that I can play the face-to-face game almost as well as I can play the correspondence game, and to have a relationship with you and actually keep it, and called you and said I was going to convoy to London. You know, I prepared that convoy to London to put you under pressure diplomatically and to still remain your ally. Yeah, it was important for me to see how those things work in virtual voice to voice. You know, that's something that you can do in correspondence, I think, pretty easily. You attack someone, then you spin it around like you did with Russia here. And I just wanted to put a little bit of pressure on you, see how you will react, and see how we'll, you know, how our relationship will go from there.
And,
But yeah,
meantime, as you're spinning the whole time, I don't know if you thought I could not do math, but you kept saying, well, I'll just get one and we'll be even. And I'm like, but I'm going down one. Like we kept talking about that over and over again.
That's true. But it's only because I expected you to take Naples. That was the real reason. I thought you were going to take Naples and St. Petersburg or Norway, something from Russia. So I expected you to take that center, and then London would balance me out. And when you said that Naples is not for you to take, then I realized, okay, we can balance the board. And yeah, obviously at this point, yeah, I did have some thoughts about getting one center up on you. And this is the moment, I mean, this is the moment where I have to go for it if I'm playing killer diplomacy or actually just normal diplomacy, maybe. Ionian to East Med is just disgusting. When I see the end position, I'm a little bit embarrassed. You know, France has nothing to do in those southern parts of the Mediterranean, eastern parts of the Mediterranean. I should be in Norwegian Sea, North Sea, and stuff like that. But this is not gunboat, you know. This is a very new experience for me, and I decided at that point to do this. Ionian to Naples, Tuscany to Rome, Burgundy to Munich, that can be defended, of course, and English Channel, not to London, but English Channel to North Sea. If this moveset comes, then I think, yeah, France is obviously winning at this point.
Yeah. Agreed. And I appreciate that. And of course, I was pushing.
I think your diplomacy. I think your diplomacy was very influential about me just sitting there passively, looking like I don't even realize the type of position I have here. Because if you look at this, you think to yourself, "Come on, France! I mean, don't you know how to count?" But
yeah, I knew of the risk, right? I mean, but I trusted you at the end, like you trusted me earlier, right? So this is the thought process, and I know it's frustrating to a lot of really good diplomacy players like yourself, but this is.
No, I mean, I'm yet to prove that
I like to play.
I'm yet to prove if I'm good or not. You know, it's not like I soloed every game I played in correspondence. I have a couple of solos on web diplomacy with France, Turkey, and such. And almost every solo on Backstabber in public games had at least one civil disorder at one point in the game. You know, so it's not like I'm considering myself to be a new brother board or whatever. You know, it's just I think I think a lot of players or experienced players as well are frustrated when they see this fall of 08, because you want to see stabs, you know, you want to see people going action for it. Yeah, you want to see that, you know, and if you manage to get a good position, you should take advantage of it. But again, this is not chess, it's not Go, it's a very, very personal game, you know, that human element is very, very important. And
we took a draw vote here. It failed. I was pretty sure you didn't veto the draw, and you didn't, right? Or did you?
No.
Austria admitted he did it to us because he wanted to eliminate Turkey. So we agree on a way that we can both get to 11. Oh, and I don't have the final map, but finally Italy takes over all of Turkey. You and I both get on 11, and the game draws.
Yeah,
I had a satisfying game. It was about as stress-free, other than those couple of moves, that you can play in diplomacy. You probably didn't have your blood pressure up the entire game.
No, for me, it was a pretty easy game. I mean, tactically, I didn't even have to. There was not even one point in the game where I had to uh, make someone play something that makes me alive. I didn't have to force anything to anyone. The most important relationship in this game was between me and you, for me, of course. And I knew that you had a lot of diplomacy to do with Austria, and that's fine. That's fine. My second game, 15 minutes per move. I'm not used to it. I got friends. I was immediately elated when I saw that I got friends. Exactly because I could play like this. I could have a diplomatic relationship with less players than usual. Again, in correspondence, you always try to speak with everyone. You try to manipulate some Eastern moves that seem irrelevant to you at first. But here, yeah, I did not have problems with blood pressure or anything. There was that one point, I think, where I got a bit suspicious of what is happening, but it didn't last long. And then I put myself, yeah,
God.
and then I put myself in a position where I can be the one that gives you a problem with blood pressure, and that was also fun for me. It was better to be in a dominant position than other
In
way
my
around.
position. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. And I'm used to that position. So I rely on my diplomacy. It's why I like playing in the East more, because I can develop more relationships. Uh, for me, the West a lot of times becomes a very quick popularity contest.
Hmm.
And I think I'll come out on the winning end of that more often than not, but I'm never quite sure. I think my chances with three other powers in the East, sometimes four if you're playing Russia or Italy, uh, it gives me an opportunity to work what I think are the strengths of my game.
Hmm. Well, Germany is similar, I think. You have a lot of
Correct.
yeah, you have to communicate with everyone. Center of the board, a lot of sphere of influence for you. I think I got Germany in my first game, and I got obliterated in the opening, which I don't think was strategically sound to Russia. And I got my vengeance on him. I got eliminated, but he got eliminated a move before me, so that was important.
You win.
A little petty victory, yeah. But it would be very difficult to play Austria, for example, which I usually love. I love Austria. It would be, I think, very difficult to play Austria or Germany in a second VDL game. I know that some players, I hear that some players had fantastic success in their first games as Austria, but that's also a bit of an anomaly.
Well, look, thank you, Kruno. Hopefully, I got that somewhat right, for coming on and talking to us about the game. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Who didn't prepare any final thoughts. Just to say that I had a very good time playing with you. I had also a very good time playing with other players, but some of them obviously won't be happy with me. And just for the people from DBN, just to know, I know that I had an option to move. It's not like I didn't understand what friends should do. It's just that, yeah, the relationship management was so good on your part, and it was very important for me on my part that I decided to go this route and have these ridiculous fleets in the East.
Yeah, I think David Hood got that right about the analysis of the game, which
Yeah,
was on that part.
yeah,
Well,
but
thanks for coming. Oh, go ahead.
he seems like a guy that wants fighting diplomacy. That's what I like about his analysis. Also, he wants fighting diplomacy. A lot of them do. Most of them do. And he urges players to have that killer instinct. So maybe I disappointed some people with this game, but again, motivations were different. It's a league game. I don't know where I am still. What you
Right.
know. So
Well, you can find your rankings on DBN's webpage. And for me, I don't look, they criticize me all the time on DBN, which is fine. Uh, I'm I don't mind playing checkers if everyone else is playing chess. I'm an odd bird, but it seems to be working out just fine as far as I'm concerned. I play diplomacy for fun and to meet people like you. So thanks for coming on. It's run a little bit long, so we'll wrap it up. And thanks to
Okay.
diplomacybriefing.com. So
Thanks for
I don't know
inviting me.
how do you say goodbye in Croatian?
Bok.
Oh,
Bok. And thank you, of course, to diplomacy briefing for making this podcast role. It's very nice to have as a player that comes from a place where there are not a lot of players to have this kind of content to chew on. So yeah,
all
hi
right. Well,
Humble,
get more
hi guys.
Croatians in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I'm going to appreciate more Croatians. All right. Thanks so much.